The Ranger of the Spore is a Spore Druid slash Ranger multiclass that uses a horde of zombies in combination of Halo of Spores and Symbiotic Entity with multi-attack from the Ranger to do some devastating damage while also maintaining some high level utility spells to help out your allies throughout combat. It's a really fun multi-class, and depending on how you multi-class with the Ranger, you'll have a different playstyle. And overall, it is one really fun that you can play throughout Acts 1 and 2 and really starts to shine in Act 3. What's really great about the Spore Ranger here is the fact that you can pick any race and have it work really well. This means you could pick this as an origin character. Of course, you would have to respect that origin character, but it works really well for origin characters. It's really great. And race is going to have very little impact in combat. However, there are some things I do want to notate. I do personally think Wood Elves fit really great from a theme standpoint. I mean, being a ranger, they are kind of nature-esque depending on who you ask. And druids, of course, are extremely nature-based. Wood Elves are nature-based, so it kind of fits if you ask me. Wood Elves also get increased movement speed, which is pretty cool. They get dark vision. They have proficiency with longbows, which is pretty cool, which doesn't matter because you'll get that anyway as a ranger. But they also can't be put to sleep, so I really like Wood Elves here, but really any race will fit. Drows are really nice. I like their lore, and the darkness spell they have is pretty useful. Githyanki, from a combat standpoint, they're extremely powerful. I mean, they get a free Misty Step, they get a free Enhanced Sleep, free Mage Hand, and the Astral Knowledge they receive is extremely useful for outside combat purposes. So pick whatever race you want. It's going to be up to you. Class here, I'm going Ranger to start out. I do want to note you can start out as a actual Spore Druid. However, I like starting out as a Ranger first because that way I'm guaranteed to get my longbow and shortbow proficiencies regardless. If you start out as a Druid first, you will only receive proficiencies in that weapon type if your race allows it. So I like using Beast Tamer. Getting the Find Familiar is just really useful, and this has a lot of outside like combat opportunities for really fun stuff. So really useful here, and it's free, no spell slot needed. I also like Bounty Hunters just for their proficiency in investigation, but really that's going to be up to you. Background, pick whatever you want. Do it based off of the background skills, in my opinion. But if you're going for an RP thing, pick whatever you want. I think animal handling and survival kind of fits the theme of a ranger slash druid combo, so that's why I'm going folk hero. Now, pay attention to your abilities here, because I get asked this all the time in all my videos. If you are using the Hag's Hair, which gives you 1 stat increase for free, you can get to 20 dexterity with only 1 feat, which is why I'm set up like this. If you do not use the Hag's Hair, I would change it to where my ability score is like this. That way, once I hit level 4, I can increase my dexterity to 18 and then my constitution to 16. However, if you do have the Hag's Hair, you don't need that. So then you can get to 18 dexterity that way with the Hag's Hair. So it's going to be up to you. Hag's Hair gives you 1 additional feat. Without the Hag's Hair, you will spend both feats on ability improvement to get your dexterity to max. You only have 2 feats as this build, so keep that in mind. When it comes to your actual skills here, pick whatever you want is going to be useful to you. I do like having a little bit inside athletics in case I need to try to like push someone and things like that. So pick whatever you think is going to be needed. I don't think stealth is going to be all that needed all that much, but if you would like to use that, feel free. So let's go ahead and talk about leveling now. And I am going to be showcasing leveling for the first half of this build with my Drizzt character from another video, just because it's easier to do. But really, pick whatever race, guys. I don't want any confusion because it happens all the time. Pick whatever race. Okay, as we level up, I want you to go Ranger level 1 all the way to level 5. You could technically do Spore Druid first if you wanted to. However, I prefer doing the Ranger route first, which is what I'm going to showcase. So spell-wise here, pick whatever spells you want. I would say Longstrider is a must pick. Getting free 10 feet movement for you and everyone in your party and all your pets for free because you can cast it as a ritual spell is really strong. Definitely get used to using this on your allies. The other spells are going to be up to you. Hunter's Mark is really useful here, and I would say probably to get that as well. Fighting style, archery, because we are mainly using a bow. However, if you do not want to use a bow and you would rather simply go with melee, then pick whatever you want. I'm assuming you know what you're doing if you go in the melee version. Ranger level 3 is when you get another spell. So here, I would say Ensnaring Strike could be useful. It's not a must-have pick, but it's definitely useful, so could pick it. Pick whatever you want. Because I'm a drow, I get Fairy Fire here. This is Charisma based because I'm a drow. But you get to pick your subclass. So all 3 subclasses will work for this build, but I do want to note that the Beastmaster, the higher that you level up, the weaker this gets. You're only going to put 5 points into actual Ranger, and because of that, your Beastmaster in the early levels will be pretty strong, but it starts to fall off later on, especially towards Act 3, because your pet is really weak compared to everything else. So the pet dies a lot, so keep that in mind. I would say going Hunter with Hunter's Prey for Colossus Slayer is really strong. Doing an additional 1d8 damage as long as the target doesn't have max HP is really, really useful. And this is something that's just going to be a lot of sustained damage throughout your playthrough. Or the other great class is going to be Gloomstalker. This gives you a lot. This will give you Dread Ambusher to get +3 initiative, extra movement speed, and an additional attack at the start of combat. If you don't already have Dark Vision, you now gain Dark Vision. You can hide from a bonus action, which is really useful. And once per long rest, you can actually go invisible, and you get Disguise Self as a spell. So I really like Gloomstalker, and at level 5 Gloomstalker, you get Misty Step as a free spell that's always prepared, which can be really useful for needing to go throughout different areas of combat for positioning wise. So I'm going Gloomstalker, but really all 3 could work, but I think Gloomstalker and Hunter are going to be the strongest. Okay, so at level 4, you get your first feat. If you have the Hag's Hair, which this character specifically does, I'm going to put 2 points into Dexterity, because with the Hag's Hair, I'm going to be at level 20, or at 20 Dexterity, I should say. If you don't have the Hag's Hair, you're going to need to spend 2 ability improvement points to get this to 20. And I do want to notate, if you want to use Sharpshooter, which is a really powerful ranged attack feat, you either need the Hag's Hair to get the 20 Dexterity, or you're going to be stuck at 18 Dexterity since you will be using the other feat for Sharpshooter. So keep that in mind. Okay, so level 5, as mentioned, because I did choose Gloomstalker, I get my Misty Step here for free. I do get 2 more spells, and I do want to state that these level 2 spells here, go with Silence. You will actually have spiked growth from being a druid. So in my opinion, Silence is nice because you won't get this as a druid normally. So now you can get it as a ranger, and when you multi-class, you'll still have it. It is situational, but it is pretty useful to have. Okay, so level 6 is when we're going to start putting our points into druid, and we're going to go the rest of the levels inside druid as well. Cantrip wise, you don't need Shillelagh. We have dexterity for our damage, so this isn't going to be useful. Instead, take guidance. Plus 1d4 to ability checks is really huge. Very, very much a fantastic cantrip to have. Thorn Whip, I mean, it's up to you. I don't really ever use this in combat, so you can replace it with, replace this with something else if you wanted. It's going to be up to you. Okay, so now you are character level 7, so you should be done with everything in Act 1, and most likely going into Act 2. So, instead of choosing Circle of the Land, I want you to choose Circle of the Spores. This will, you can turn into an animal, which is nice, because all druids will get that. And this can definitely save your hide, since you get temporary hit points inside the other animal forms. But instead, our wild shape is going to be used for Symbiotic Entity. You gain temporary hit points when you have this up, which lasts until your next long rest, and as long as you have those temporary hit points, your attacks will do additional necrotic damage. And you get a bonus reaction, Halo of Spores, to do even more necrotic damage as well, and it goes up to 20 feet. So the higher your level in Druid is, the more temporary hit points you have, which is why you won't need a lot of Constitution, because you'll see by endgame, you'll have a ton of HP. This will pretty much double the HP you normally have. And of course, if you want to change your spells here, you can. I would say Thunder Wave is really useful because, in my opinion, you're going to be using this character at ranged. Being able to knock people back is really useful. Ice Knife is okay. I mean, could be good, could be bad. It's going to be up to you whether you'd like to use this or not. I said instead of taking Cure Wounds, take the one that's a bonus action, Healing Word. That way, if you did need to bring up someone that was down, you can do it as a bonus action. All the other spells, pick whatever you want here. It's going to be up to you. Charm Person can be definitely pretty useful if you would like it for extra CC. And if you did want the other Enhanced Sleep for another ritual spell, you can. You can also get Fairy Fire here. And I do want to notate, because this is Fairy Fire from being a druid, the saving throw or the spell DC isn't going to use Charisma. It's going to use Wisdom, while the one from being a drow uses Charisma. Okay, so level 3 druid, you get some more spells. And you can see you automatically get Spike Growth here, which is why I didn't think it was needed for the Ranger portion. So you can now pick some different things if you want. If you want to rearrange your spells, which I would for sure, Spike Growth is pretty useful in my opinion. I'm going to take Ice Knife off here, and you could have Heat Metal, which basically makes them drop their weapon. Really useful for CC. Hold Person, another really useful spell. Flaming Spirit is really useful as well. It is a concentration spell, keep that in mind, but it is another summon you can do. And this is going to be useful later on once you start getting your zombies and stuff. Alright, so you're character level 9 now. You get another cantrip here. Pick whatever you want. I'm just going with Resistance. And you get your other feat. So we already talked about if you had the Hag's Hair, how this will be 20. So because of that, I'm going Sharpshooter. This is great. It's a toggle ability, which will basically make you do an additional 10 damage at a -5 penalty to hit. But your ranged weapons do not, they will never receive penalties from attacking someone that's at high ground. So Sharpshooter is definitely for sure worth it. With the Hag's Hair, you'll still have 20 dexterity as well, which is really nice. Unfortunately, if you don't have the Hag's Hair, your dexterity is only going to be 18. Okay, you are now Druid level 5, and you are class level overall level 10. So you can see you get some subclass features here for if you are in your wild shape, which can be useful. As mentioned before, wild shape can really save your hide. You gain level 4 spell slots, which is pretty cool, and you gain some new spells, which is really awesome. But as a level 5 Spore Druid, you get Animate Dead, which is really useful, because now you can really start getting your minions up. You get Gaseous Form, which is okay. And then you can take a look at your spells to see which ones you would like to prepare. Again, I'm dropping Ice Knife. I don't like it. Call Lightning is really powerful. I think Sleet Storm is also powerful. All these spells will have usefulness depending on how you play or what you want to do. So pick the spells that you want. It's going to be up to you here. Plant Growth is another great spell. And if you did want to use Call Lightning, the other spell I would say to have is Create or Destroy Water. That way you can put water on someone, and then immediately afterwards use a spell like Thunder Wave or Call Lightning to do double damage. So, going to be up to you. Okay, Druid level 6. This is nice because then you get the Owlbear form. Very powerful. But specifically for the Spore Druids, you get Fungal Infestation. This allows you to summon basically the zombies that are plant-based. I'm not sure how to describe it other than they just are fungus zombies. They're really cool. And with this, combined with everything else you've gotten so far, you can really start to bring up your undead army. And then at level 7, you are now max level, so you are level 7 druid, level 5 ranger for a total of level 12. You get some new spells here. First off, as a spore druid, you get blight and you get confusion. But there are going to be some other spells I want you to take. So you can see from the known spell list here, you can get Dominate Beast, Conjure Woodland Being, Conjure Minor Elemental, and all kinds of cool stuff. In my opinion, pick whatever you think is going to be best here, but my recommendation for sure is either going to be Elemental or Woodland Being. Because you're going to have a lot of minions, having even more minions on top of that is pretty nice. And you can see I only have 93 HP right now, but that's okay because we do have a bunch of ways to increase it. So I want to put on my symbiotic entity, and you can see I have 28 temporary hit points. Not a ton, but as long as you maintain those hit points, you will do additional damage. And since you will be attacking from afar, it's pretty easy to use that. I do want to showcase some items that are going to be useful. So I use my hag's hair. I'm up to 20 dexterity, as you can see. And most people will notice this is my Drizzt character from my Drizzt build. So some things that you would like to use in Act 1 and 2 that are going to be really useful is pretty much the setup I have here. So I have my Diadem of Arcane Synergy. So anytime I basically do a condition to the enemy, whether it's Hunter's Mark, I slow him down, whatever it may be, I'm going to gain Arcane Synergy. Because I have 16 Wisdom, it will give me +3 attack to all my attacks, which is nice. I have the Cloak of Protection just for extra AC and saving throws. Chest piece, I went with Spider Silk Armor just to get the advantage on Constitution saving throw checks and extra bonus to stealth checks. The gloves are the Flawed Hell Dust, so they get additional fire damage. Boots, evasive shoes, +1 AC and acrobatics. If you did want to use a melee weapon, I'm going with this weapon right here that you get from the Underdark. This is a finesse weapon, and it's a longsword. This has a really unique ability which will just simply allow me to do tons of thunder damage to anyone that's within range, like additional damage. Neck piece, pick whichever neck piece you want here. I just chose the amulet here because it's a free Misty Step. Caustic Band, free acidic damage, and the Strange Conduit Ring. As long as I am concentrating on something, I will do additional psychic damage. So I'm going to go ahead, and you can see I have my symbiotic entity just to showcase this at a lower level because there are some differences with this compared to endgame gear that we'll talk about in a minute. So pour Asterion here. I'm going to enter turn-based mode. Let's go ahead and put Hunter's Mark on him at a level 1 spell. You can see I got my buff here, and that costs a bonus action. So now when I attack him, I missed. And you can see I have my passive on, so my chance to hit isn't that high. So I'm going to turn this off. So it's definitely useful to have someone with Bless to give you Bless while doing this. So I'm going to attack again. I'll crit him just because. So if you take a look at my combat log real quick, you can see I did 12 piercing, 1 acidic, 5 necrotic, 1 fire, and 3 psychic. And all of this would have been extra, except he used his reaction to take less damage. But you can just see from my attack, look at all the additional damage you would normally do. That's a lot. And he took half damage because he is a thief, so he has uncanny dodge to reduce it, but that's a lot of additional damage. And the weapon I'm using isn't all that great, so I do want to showcase how this build actually works at endgame so you can really see the additional stuff you can do. And of course, if I wanted, I could use my Halo of Spores reaction, which doesn't actually cost an action, to do necrotic damage on him as well. It's FP saved, so it didn't do damage. And for endgame, I do want to showcase this on Ascended Asterion, just because the additional necrotic damage with him on top of everything else just stacks so well. But I do want to showcase I am going 17, 15, 16 here because I don't have the Hag's Hair, so I am going to use one ability improvement for Dexterity and Constitution, and then get Sharpshooter. And if you use the Mirror of Loss, then you can get the Dexterity to 20 as well. But that's if you choose to do that or not in Act 3. So before we go into combat for endgame, I do want to point out, I do have a chest piece here, the Armor of the Spore Keeper, that is extremely useful. You can see this will give me just +1 bonus to my spell DCs, but I also have additional things I can cast here to the right. So I get Timmask Spores, which is really nice. And this is an action, so keep that in mind, and it's once per long rest. But I can cast this to befuddle people. I have my Biberang Spores, probably said that wrong. Basically poisonous spores. And the one I really like, Haste Spores. You cast this once per long rest, and it creates a field on the ground, as you can see. And anyone that steps into it will gain haste, including my minions. You're going to have a lot of minions as this build. You have my Conjure Elemental here. So you can pick whichever elementals you think are going to be useful. I'm going to go with Ice. I have my Woodland Being. It does require a high level spell slot, so keep that in mind. You always want to use it at level 4. If you use it at level 5, you don't actually gain any benefit. So I put that on. I have my concentration spell for my Flaming Spear that I'm not going to use yet, just because I don't want to actually get anything caught on fire, but you can summon that as well. And then you have all your zombies you can also do. So you can get a pretty nice set of little groups here. What's even better is my Dryad also has an ability to do some really cool things. She can use her Shillelagh, she has Entangle, she has Spike Growth, she has Food. Like, she has a lot that she can do, which is really nice. And she can summon a little creature as well. So even she has an extra thing. So now, just from one character alone, without even summoning my zombies, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 minions. They are pretty weak. They die pretty easily, but that's okay because you can always summon them back if you needed. And of course, I don't have any bodies on me, but I could get even more zombies as well. So when it comes to my gear, you can see my AC is only 18, and that's because I only have 18 dexterity. So if I wanted, instead of using Cloak of Displacement, I could go ahead and put my Cloak of Protection just to get a little bit higher. It's going to be up to you. Boots are the same. I'm using the Helldust Gloves. I'm keeping my Diadem on. Feel free to move this out for anything else. When it comes to your rings, I'm using the Crypt Lord ring. This is going to allow me to summon a mummy, which will then stack with everything else I have. I'm using the Caustic Band. Feel free to replace this for anything else. And I have the Amulet of the Devout just for extra spell save DC. You can replace this with a lot of things. Obviously, there's the Amulet of Greater Health, which is huge if you want to rearrange your points for other stuff. If you need to do, like, because I use my spell slot here, I could use my Spell Crux to get that back. So I could equip that real quick, and then use my class real quick to basically turn that back. So I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? I do want my level 4 spell slot back. Thank you so much. So I got that back. So now I can unequip that and put anything else I want on. Amulet of the Ball is also useful just to inflict bleeding on someone. It's going to be up to you. I use this character more so for support and damage than I do anything else. So if you find yourself using a lot of support spells or CC spells, the extra bonus to spell DC here from the Amulet is useful. If you find yourself using a lot of attacks with your bow, then the Amulet of Ball is going to be useful. Pick whichever you find to be the best. Weapon-wise, The dead shot, I mean, it's just free crit. It's really nice. This thing is really, really powerful. And then I'm using the Dancing Breeze. This is a great glaive that is considered finesse. So this is going to scale with my dexterity, which is pretty cool. All right, let's see this baby in action. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get this going. You can have up to 4 of these zombies right here, like your fungal zombies at once. Technically, I only have 3. I didn't get the max, but you can see how many minions I have. It's a lot. Yeah, I have a lot of minions. It's pretty cool. And we're going to now open up on these guys, and I feel so bad for them because they are just going to get utterly destroyed. And I'm sure if you saw any of my other build videos, I usually showcase it on these guys to not have any spoilers. So that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to use my Hunter's Mark rank 1 on this guy in the back. They're all like, what? What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm trying to have some fun. What do you mean? So you can see I got the Hunter's Mark on him, which is cool. So I am going to cast my Haste of Spores right here. Now this thing is interesting because it only lasts for 1 turn. And it gives you like pseudo haste. So as long as you put it on an area where your allies are going to be able to attack, they will all get haste. So if I cast it, they have all haste. And because I have my Diadem of Arcane Synergy on, because I gave them haste, I get increased damage. I'm also going to run in, and you can see when I run in, I now have haste spores as well. Which means I have haste without actually using the spell haste, so it's not a concentration. So we're going to open up on him. You can see it's at a disadvantage because I do have Sharpshooter all in, but we'll attack anyway. Missed. Wow, really unfortunate. No big deal. We'll attack again. Dang, that one's only 42. That's rough. We'll just auto crit. And he's dead. Thank you, buddy. That's a lot of damage. If you take a look and read it, you can see 30 piercing, 2 acidic, 18 necrotic, and 11 fire. So I could do some more stuff. I'm going to let one of my pets attack so you can see with their spells. So I got Death Burst, which is pretty cool. You got your Ice Breath, Chromatic Orb Cold, and then of course Freezing Claws. This guy isn't in the haste area though, so he's not going to get the additional haste stuff unless I go into it. So we'll just, I don't want to do this. You can see this will affect my allies, but I can do this. It will affect one of my zombies, which I don't want. So then what we could do instead is fly. Come about right here. He crit me, but that's okay. So I'm going to come right here. And now we're going to do our Death Burst, and it's going to hopefully hit all of them. And you can see I sacrificed him because he already got hit to do an AoE burst like that. I didn't have to. I could do the Cone of Cold, and it would have hit people as well. But I did want to showcase, in case that guy is low, you have an option to kind of like do a suicide attack. So with my Dryad, I could do a couple different things. So you can see I have a couple options I could do here. I could do Spike Growth. I could simply attack. I could use Shillelagh as a bonus action. If you see where she's at, she's not actually in the Spore Cloud, which is unfortunate. So we're just going to come right here. I'm going to use Shillelagh. Then we're going to attempt to topple one of these guys. We'll go him because it's a higher percent. So he is saving on the topple, which is unfortunate. It is what it is. So now I have some options I can do. I could attack some more and just completely decimate these guys by myself, but I'm not going to. I do want to showcase the other Spore options here. So let's go ahead and do the Timas Spores, and you can see it's like an AoE. Can I hit both of these guys without coming out? Slightly. We'll do it right here. Dang, so they saved as well. That is really unfortunate. Oh well. I'm going to put my melee weapon back on in a moment because I do want to attack someone. I'm going to go ahead and take off the passive though right here for Sharpshooter to make sure my attacks actually hit. So she's at 90. We'll attack her. And then I'll put my sword on, so if I get opportunity attacks, I should be able to get it with the extra reach, and I'll end my turn. And now I could use Charm from my Tadpole skill. We'll see if it works, but it's not always needed. It did work though, which is pretty cool. Alright, so now it's my mummy's turn. So my mummy can do a bunch of stuff. I have this other guy here that can do some stuff. Let's do the mummy first and try to get him to attack. So this is going to be a 60% chance to hit. He got saved on the Rotting Fist though. That is unfortunate. That's okay. We'll go ahead and leave him there for now. Let's go ahead and use your Ice Breath here. End his turn. Now you can see it said haste spores on him as well. It will affect your enemies, so keep that in mind. Alright, it's my Dryad's turn. I could choose to entangle if I wanted to, just to keep him in like a certain spot if I wanted, and it's an AoE. So it's going to be up to me. No, we'll try to get all of them. Why not? See what happens. And you can see a lot of them saved, but it's okay. Alright, so we'll go ahead and simply just end his turn. So now I have my zombie's turn. So he's only got 1 HP. He has no actions right now, which is really unfortunate. We'll attack you. He's got 40. This says 50. Let's try to hit him instead. Alright, great. So what happened there is when you're zombies, you can see there's a debuff here that they get called Crawling Gnaw. If they hit an enemy and then that enemy dies within 1 turn, they will turn into a newborn zombie. You, however, do not actually get to control the newborn zombies. They will do what they want. As you can see, the zombie is doing what they want. Alright, so now it's this zombie's turn. So because I entangled with my Dryad, which I probably shouldn't have done, but it is what it is. So this zombie can't actually do anything. That person's already dead. And I can't really move because I'm entangled. So I kind of wasted my turn by entangling them with my Dryad. But I did want to showcase the AoE of it. Okay. So I could do my Haste Spores again as a bonus action. This sometimes glitches. It's only supposed to be per long rest. But as you can see, it's here for me to do again. I don't know what causes this, to be honest. But let's do it. And I'm going to go ahead and shoot some people down. Let's shoot you. I missed. Passive's off too, which is really unfortunate. That's okay. We will simply attack again. And then I could use the other Spore. I was hoping to be able to hit both of these guys. Doesn't seem like I can. Oh well. And you can see he got saved, but it's okay. I'm going to go ahead and move up here. And I'll just end my turn. And you can see, just from like my one character, I have an entire army. Your minions aren't really all that powerful, but they are nice to have for free opportunity attacks and to simply just confuse the enemy because they will eat up enemy attacks as well, which is really nice. I was hoping to scare him, but I couldn't get it. Oh well. Alright, this guy, you're going to come up. And we're going to use your Chromatic Orb. I'm going to try to freeze both these guys in the back. Maybe. We'll see.
Well, I'm not sure what caused him to die. I'm not too familiar with the ice one all that much. I use the other ones, but the ice one seems really fun, which is why I showcase it in this video. So it might have been a suicide attack as well. But this is basically how you play the build. I mean, you go through and you attack. It's really fun, and I really enjoy it a lot. So he's got the cool like debuff on him. So if he dies within one turn, he will also turn into a zombie. Can I attack this guy with him? I can. Attack again. He's almost dead, which is really nice. That means I should be able to get him on my turn then. Oh, she would heal. She would. I don't have quite enough movement to get over there. But I can dash. And when I dash, I can at least get near her. So if she moves, I will get opportunity attacks. And now it's my turn. So when I was talking about why I like getting the free Misty Step, like here, I'm in a bad position. So I can easily reposition somewhere. Like back here with a bonus action. And now I can start to really attack these people. So this guy, he's already almost dead. He's the one I'm going to for sure want to attack. Because he had the zombie debuff, he's now a zombie. And then I can just start working on the other guys as well. As a reaction, I can use my fungal infestation on an enemy, but it does cost a reaction to do, so keep that in mind. Let's attack you. And I think I'll just end my turn there. Attack again. And that's basically the build, guys. I'm not sure how to explain it any other way other than just mess around with your minions and do additional damage. It's really fun. I enjoy it a lot. One thing about the mummy, to get this multi-attack, they have to be frightened first. So you could use your dreadful glare on them to frighten them. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video though, guys, go ahead and like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye. This is where to start the quest in order to get the Crypt ring that allows you to have create undead as a Oathbreaker paladin. One thing to note, this vendor actually won't start the quest yet until the second time you talk to him, so make sure you do talk to him twice, and the second time is when you can actually ask him for help or to have a job offer, you could say. Make sure to actually buy the helm from the vendor first, because at the end of this quest chain, when you do defeat him, you cannot loot the helm. The only way to get it is if you actually buy it from him. This is Thrombo's location on map. Whatever you do not kill him. Actually accept his quest. You have to keep Thrombo alive in order to get the ring. After talking to Thrombo and getting the next part of the quest chain, you want to come here, over on the map. You actually go to the basement and make sure you read the book, and that will progress the quest chain to the next part. You will want to come to the Undercity Ruins and follow the watery path. Eventually you'll fight a bunch of zombies and go to a secret room. That's where you need to go to do the next part of the quest.
Make sure to actually read the book in the left-hand corner of the screen. If not, you will not have the option to tell Thrumbo the quest item is inside his chest, and you need Thrumbo to throw it up in order to actually progress the quest chain. After you go back to Thrumbo and destroy everything, you can then defeat the Mummy Lord, and Thrumbo will give you the ring. Congratulations.